stuff, put it on Instagram. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man. You're just really thinking it through. I don't know if you saw.
I was.
I changed my nickname. Number one fan. Let's go.
I love that. That's good. Tulane's number one fan. Oh man.
I almost put Roll Green Wave, and I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like if it's what they say, like Roll Tide. But hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, I got a Pratt jersey in the closet. I'm gonna have to order one right away.
Right? I'm like, man, I guess Tulane's now my second favorite college team now.
Who would have thought?
Oh,
who would have thought? I love that we had it. Like what a day.
I don't know. And then even that Mississippi State game too is pretty good. They got that final. They got that win to kind of honor Mike Leach, and I'm like, it's been a pretty nice day,
dude. Almost all of the bowl games have been pretty good. I mean, there was the Florida Oregon State, which was terrible. I think the Oklahoma State Wisconsin one was not. It wasn't enjoyable to watch, but like if I can hand pick out specific ones that I know weren't fun to watch. Yeah, I think it's been a pretty good bowl season because there's so many close ones. I remember the Arkansas KU one, like after we got off the pod and we were like, dude, this is a good game.
Yeah, I mean, it's because usually you're like, oh, I like this game. This one. Now you're like, that game was kind of boring. That one was a blowout. I mean, the Baylor Air Force game
was a bad one too.
But most of them, I mean, it might be one of the best like bowl seasons.
Sorry. It was an ad on the ESPN right there. I was like, what? I thought that was in my ear.
No, I mean, it's been a pretty solid bowl season all around.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
How many of them have not been a one-possession game that you can think of?
Ooh. I'm going to say 4. I'm sure there's probably more, but, man, it just seems like a lot of them were right there.
Yeah. LSU, Purdue.
Yeah.
That one was pretty bad. Mississippi State, technically, that one today, it was a one-possession game. I know it was a 9, but that was a one-possession game. That's why it was all the laterals at the end. Iowa, Kentucky, that was pretty ugly. But look at that, Iowa. I'm just saying. Who would have thought? 21 points.
14 of them from the defense.
Yeah.
They returned 2 touchdowns.
I know, classic. That's just I don't know what they're doing. That guy should get a head coaching job somewhere. But Alabama, K-State, that one was close at the beginning. K-State really came out firing and got outscored 35-10 to finish it out. I think it was 35-10. Otherwise it was 35-7, but 6.
Pretty.
But Tennessee won the Orange Bowl, the ultimate Orange Bowl, the most Orange Bowl we've ever had in Orange Bowl history with orange.
Too much orange. Way too much orange.
But is that a bigger deal for Tennessee or for Clemson?
I mean, probably Tennessee, just because based off the season they had last year. I mean, it wasn't the best, wasn't awful. And then coming in this year and, lose 2 games. And one you can argue is because they just were looking forward to, one game and against Georgia and fell apart.
Yeah. And then, look at Caleb Klubnik. I wasn't super excited. They seemed very one-dimensional, and that he did a good job. It was just it didn't feel like he was really going after it. Like there was really solid momentum going in his favor.
Yeah, he's gonna have to learn to throw the football better. The legs, they're there. He can run the football. He's a threat. But I mean, he is a true freshman, so give him another off season and see what he can do. But I think there's probably some excitement there if you're Clemson going, okay, we can see the legs, we can see the potential because the kid's got an arm. Kid has an absolute arm on him. He's just got to be able to throw the ball more consistent, accurate, and not make mistakes. And I can see Clemson still being a solid team next year with him at quarterback.
Yeah. I am up to, I think, 14 games. 14, though. There's like 40 bowls. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think there's is there 45?
Yeah.
There's 45 games maybe. I think they, if you count like a couple, it's probably like 43 bowl games, then count the final game as, the national championship.
But it's a bowl, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still?
I mean, technically, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
But which one was it? We really, because the OU one was after last week, right?
It was
after we recorded, didn't we?
Yes, yeah, it was after. It was the day after.
What did you think?
Honestly, I mean, it was a 10.5 point spread. That was they were saying we're going to lose by 10.5, 10 points or so. But I thought we played really well, honestly. To me, I saw something that we haven't seen at all the last 2 years, and it was a gritty, nasty, mean offensive line, even with only having one starter that
I know
played at all. But those guys were mean, gritty. They had an edge to them. It was something that we haven't seen since like the Orlando Brown, Cody Ford, those days when we won the Moore Award, and they were just mean and nasty. And that's what I want in my offensive line. I want my offensive line to be mean and nasty. And I think it gives you some hope going forward that the offensive line, there's going to be a lot of turnaround this year. But
I mean, what we had this last year wasn't a great offensive line, so turnaround or turnover might need to happen.
Yeah, and I thought the defense played with somewhat of an edge besides the secondary. The line and the linebackers, they seem like they played with more of a gritty edge, an angry side to them. That's what something I've been wanting to see, and so I thought there were some really good moments. The secondary, that one kid lit us up. That wide receiver had 202 yards.
Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, Johnny Wilson. He's like 6'7". He's a
find
monster.
The end zone, though. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, right. So I mean, honestly, I think all in all, losing by 3 points when we probably could have won that game if Sawchuk doesn't fumble the football.
Yeah,
they were marching to score, and so I think really it was a solid game all around.
Yeah, as soon as it was a one possession game, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna lose," because we haven't won one possession game this year. So, and that's a young team, a young coach team in this new scheme, and so it's. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I mean, Nick Saban's first year at Alabama was pretty rough transition. They weren't making the playoff. They weren't making the BCS bowl game, and this was a transition year for OU for sure. But this was a great bowl game. They could have laid over. Everyone said, "Oh man, you covered there. Florida State's covering that spread easy." And it's not going to be close. And thank goodness for OU and for the fans. One, they showed up. It was a great bowl game. And so even though, they were 6-6, it made sense that they were there. Well, I mean, because the brand showed up. We'll put it that way.
And honestly, I don't think they're truly a 6-6 team. I mean, they lost. You count the Florida State game now. I think at that point, 4 or 5 games by a field goal. And so that tells you, just like, I mean, they were there in every single game. You had 2 really bad games where you got blown out by TCU and you got blown out by Texas. Texas, you can take with a grain of salt how bad we lost, is because, I mean, we were without Dylan Gabriel. But, I mean, you lose to West Virginia, Baylor, Texas Tech. You lose this one. And Kansas
9 points.
Yeah, and the Kansas game was a Kansas State game. Relatively, the score is pretty close until they scored that last touchdown. Yeah, and so I mean, they were in every game. So that, I think everyone's going, "Oh, they just had a bad year." I don't see it as that bad of a year. Yeah, we didn't win as many games as we would hope to or we would like to, but I don't think the 6-7 record is really shown what. You look at the games, I mean, you have a few mistakes here and there that if you take those away, Oklahoma wins that game. And so I think there's a bright future, and I think this kind of showed. I mean, like I said, the offense line is going to be to me is going to be one of the biggest things. Can it be turned around? Can they get going? Because more than likely you're going to have at least 3 new starters, maybe 4, depending on what they decide to do. But I'm excited at one point, and then I'm like, well, hopefully Dylan Gabriel's ready, because he may run for his life. You never know.
I don't know. Dylan Gabriel, we'll talk about him for just a second. I think if you look at him, the one knock on him this year was his completion percentage was not up to the level of my expectations. It was almost better. It was his best in his career in a full season that he's ever played. The only one that was better was the short season of 21 when he got hurt. So I think you look at that, but overall, his rating, his yards per completion, all of those were almost in line. So we got what we paid, not paid for, but we got what we signed up for. And so everybody who's obviously looking for Baker, Kyler, and even Jalen Hurts at times, well, we got a really great, a solid quarterback who threw for over 3,000 yards, turned the ball over, I think, what, 7 times, 8 times?
Yeah.
How many fumbles? I don't know how many fumbles he had. I had to look
I think he had 2 fumbles that I can remember.
Yeah. But was it almost? He was 75 QBR overall for the season, and that takes into consideration the absolutely brutal game that he had earlier in the year. So I don't know. I hope he kind of comes back, because I don't know that that what we have is going to be good enough next year for what's happening. So my hope for Dylan Gabriel is that he does come back, he gets a really good season, and maybe he gets enough to get his draft stock up. He has another year of eligibility left. Why not do it?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with Gabriel too is like the high passes and stuff like that. It's not that he can't do it; it's just a mechanic thing. So if they can fix those mechanics, it'll get better, because he has an issue where he hurries himself and doesn't get his feet underneath him, or his stance is too wide, so he thinks he's having to put more on it, and it gives it that weird high trajectory. And that's the reason why we see him miss quite a bit, is because he's hurrying his mechanics. So if Levy and them can get in there and fix those mechanics, I think he'll be even better next year. And then he has been in the system before, but this is another real full solid season into it, and another full off season into it. He's going to learn the playbook even more, and going to be able to trust his wide receivers and the people with him even more. So I think we'll see a better Dylan Gabriel next year. And even if we have the Dylan Gabriel this year, I still think if we can get that defense good enough, I think the offense will be there. I really do. I think Levy can get that offense there. And
I do too. Here's all I'm saying is that I think that you're going to look back, and nobody knew in 2007. Nobody knew what Nick Saban was about to do in Alabama. Yeah. He took over a bad Alabama team, and you could say the difference between this and what OU is this is not a bad Oklahoma team, but this is a bad culture Oklahoma team that was pretty rough around the edges. We can get more into that if we needed to, but you had Alabama, who's coming off a terrible season the year before, and then Nick Saban comes in. They go 7-6. What's the difference between that? They won their bowl game against Colorado that year. The next year, I'm not saying OU's doing this, but the next year they went 12-2. Yeah, won the SEC, won their division. Obviously, they lost the Sugar Bowl to Utah, but I'm just saying, like, that right there was just the difference. And then after that, in 2009, and they won the championship. And I think it was 10. They also won the championship. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's the back.
No, 10 they didn't. They lost to they beat Michigan State in the Capital One Bowl, but they just started going on this roll of constant. I mean, we had to question if they did, because they make so many championships. Is there any similarity that you could see this, because of the style of culture that Venables tries to bring into a program versus player? We've seen teams try to do players, right? A&M. Yeah. It's all about players. It's not about culture.
I mean, I think if you look at the culture side, I think the biggest difference is, though, is you go, Venables, this is his first head coaching stint ever. Saban, he won a national championship with LSU. He had been there and was a established, college football coach before he went to Alabama. So that may be the only, could be one of the differences. And so we'll see. But I think the culture thing is the biggest thing. I mean, Braden Willis, after the game, he tweeted out this thing. He's like, man, I hate that, years down the line that I'm not going to be able to be a part of it. He said, but I believe Brent Venables will win some national championships. He said, but what I can look back on is that I was part of the beginning of it. And so I think that shows right there that the culture of Oklahoma has changed a lot, and it is something that really needed to happen. We saw the culture with Bob Stoops. It was always there. He had that culture. Then once he left, Lincoln came in, and we thought Lincoln was the guy and everything. Yeah. And slowly each year you just saw the culture just disintegrating and falling apart, and just a lot of weirdness around the program. And I think honestly, it was a blessing for Oklahoma that he left. He's a good coach. I mean, I'm not saying that him being there would have made Oklahoma worse or whatever, but Oklahoma is set to the standard of culture first over football. No one's bigger than the program, and that has always been the thing with Switzer and with Bob Stoops and Bud Wilkerson. They always had that, program over team, over person type thing. And so I think now we're starting to see that again.
Yeah.
Where it's no one's bigger than the program. And so I hope as an Oklahoma fan that we do see that type of Nick Saban, kind of meteoric rise for Brent Venables in the program. We just start winning. We're constantly in the conversation as one of the top teams and competing for a national championship every year. So that's my hopes. I think there's a possibility. I think it's too early to say whether or not, just because he's never had any head coaching experience. But I thought that game Thursday was a good step forward for Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great point you put out there. I mean, he did have over 10 years of coaching experience with Michigan State, with the Dolphins, obviously, and LSU with the championship. So LSU over OU. So just saying. I had that callback a couple of times, and I think it was in the was it the Sugar Bowl against K-State? They had that callback a couple of times where they're talking about Nick Saban because he was coaching it again, and they talked about the OU and a couple other ones. So I don't know, some fond memories of the Sugar Bowl with OU in Alabama.
Yeah, there's been a few. Or let's say the Sugar Bowl and Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. Okay, yeah, I'll put it that way. Yeah. And so one quick thing on Lincoln Riley before we get into the podcast, because I know we'll actually talk about it on the podcast portion of the show. It'll be. Do you ever feel like Lincoln Riley sometimes is that like the son who didn't want to take over his dad's company?
That's good. That's a good analogy.
I'm just saying, like, he's like, listen, I mean, I tried it. He's like, I'm gonna do my thing in LA. Sorry.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? So, anyway, how were your holidays, man?
It was good. Family, and went and watched the game with Quincy. He was up for the New Year's and stuff like that. Went and watched the OU game with him and his family, and so it was good. Got to see him for a little bit until they got sick.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it was good seeing him, and got to see the girls, Kayla's kids and Phil's kids, and so it's always good to be able to see the family.
That's true. So here up in KC, I have a friend. I'm not gonna call out his name on here, but he did get COVID around Christmas, and here's how he found out: he couldn't taste his coffee. So here's the joke, though. The dude loves Folgers. Absolutely loves Folgers, which, for the record, it's not a good cup of coffee. It's not. But so I said he had his best cup of Folgers ever because he couldn't taste it. I don't know.
Yeah. See, if I'm gonna drink coffee, I'm more of an iced coffee guy.
That's fine.
I can't do a hot coffee.
I don't know, man. You're missing out. Hot coffee. It doesn't even matter if it's like you said, 100 with 60% humidity. It's great.
Let's see, mine's. I don't care if it's negative 32 degrees. I'd rather have iced coffee.
Weird. That's how Stephanie is with ice cream. Like, it'll be 30 outside. Oh, yeah. Negative 30. She's like, I'm going to go get ice cream.
Oh, yeah. I could eat ice cream any kind. I don't care what the temperature is, whatever. Yeah. Ice cream's an all-year deal. I don't care how cold or warm it is outside.
I can't imagine.
You're missing out.
I don't think I'm missing out. Not for ice cream.
Oh, yeah, you are. Ice cream's like one of the top 2 food groups.
Oh, well, then what's number 1?
Cake.
Oh, I was going to say sandwiches. Man, you just missed it. It's clearly sandwiches.
No. Emerson asked me one day, he's like, if you could eat one food in, the rest of your life and it not, affect you or whatever, what would you have? I'd have cake.
Cake? What kind of cake?
Just about any kind of cake. I'm not really too picky.
It could be Walmart. I grabbed it, and you take that over like.
I love store-bought
pizza
cake.
Or Devin. What?
Dude.
What?
Yeah, I love cake. It's hard. I mean, for a while I wasn't big on carrot cake because I didn't like vegetables in my cake. But now Now I'm okay with carrot cake. It has some nice cream cheese frosting on top of it. We're good.
I do like carrot cake. I do enjoy that one. But
Yeah.
if you're going to give me the option between something sweet and something savory, it is 100% always savory. It will always be sandwiches.
Not me. My biggest downfall is
the sweets.
Sweets, yeah. Cake, ice cream, candy, yeah. I'll take that just about any day over anything. Yeah. I love
incredible. It. That's incredible.
Yeah.
What a fun fact.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, for a while, my mom, birthday, she'd be like, yo, you want me to make you a cake? I was like, I'll just take one from Walmart.
It keeps it easy.
I mean, yeah, I store-bought cake. Yeah.
And it was your mom. You said that, right?
Yeah, and my mom.
She's a great cook. What are you doing, baker? What are you doing?
It was because I like buttercream frosting. She didn't know how to make buttercream frosting at the time, and so stores, most of them buttercream frosting. So now she makes buttercream frosting, and it's better than a store-bought cake. So
oh my god, well, duh,
we're good.
That has no doubt. I know we just got someone in the chat that said, "Cry, Caleb, cry." I'm loving it. I don't start that message, but we're gonna go ahead and star it. So that's a favorite right there. Boom.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's gonna be a good game to talk about here in a second. I'm trying to save it for the actual when we hit go or whatever. But yeah. I'm glad we didn't miss the cake. I never would have guessed.
Yep, cake.
Do you have like a favorite restaurant then?
See, if I'm going favorite restaurant, that's tough. If we're going like
cake at most of them.
Yeah, if we're talking like we're just gonna go type of food. I love Cajun food. So there's a place in Tulsa called Nola's. We ate there a couple times for my birthday, and I really enjoy that. So I don't know if I really have a certain favorite restaurant, but type of food, I love Cajun food.
Okay, so to celebrate Tulane's victory, you need to go to Nola.
Dude, I know, right?
The restaurant. I have heard if there's anyone from New Orleans, I have a couple friends that are from New Orleans. They did not enjoy it. They say it's not great.
See, my idea of traveling and doing stuff though is going to eat food.
Yeah.
So I'm all for going to Nola.
Okay.
Just to eat the food.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care about everything around. I just want to go find the good food. Eat some good food. That's all I care about.
Okay. Well, we should definitely, if you go, you need to get us a couple Tulane T-shirts.
Absolutely, 100%. Get some Green Wave stuff.
Yeah, we got a Jack in the Box comment too, which I love because Mike, this is a great comment. Jack in the Box can do almost anything. You can do tacos, you can do burgers. I'm just saying, there's breakfast all day.
Jack in the Box is very underrated. I mean, we went there a couple weeks ago. I mean, those mini tacos, they don't miss.
They don't. No, and it's like 10. Oh, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
You're gonna win.
Yeah.
Plus, they're open all the time.
Yeah. I'm all for a good Jack in the Box.
Yeah. I don't know if I had to go to a favorite restaurant. Like, I don't know what kind of level we're talking here. We'll just go either fast casual or lower. Do you remember? I haven't had it probably in years, but you remember how good the sandwiches were at Bill and Ruth's?
Oh, dude, Bill and Ruth's. Yeah.
But just that one. I know there's multiple, but just the one that we used to get to go to all the time at school. Dude, those sandwiches were so good.
Oh man. Yeah, is the turkey club wrap. Oh, extra side of ranch. Nothing.
Yeah, they had a good Reuben.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've never had anything bad from there.
I know. There was another one near where I used to live in high school, and it wasn't nearly as good. It's not even open anymore. I don't even know if this one is that we used to go to.
Yeah, oh yeah. One in Claremore still open.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
It gets rated the #1 sandwich shop in Claremore every year.
Does it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
More. I mean, I think part of it's because the only other one is Subway. But hey, but that's no knock on it because the sandwiches are amazing.
That's true. Yeah, don't let the limitations of competition. That's because no one wants to come in and be competition. So yeah. I just got a text from my wife. It said, "You're still talking about sandwiches." I will talk about sandwiches all day.
I mean,
all day.
It's hard to beat a good sandwich unless it's cake. I mean,
unless it's cake. Dude, could you get a cake sandwich?
I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't have, I'm just picture. Would an ice cream sandwich be a cake sandwich?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically, yeah. It is called an ice cream sandwich. So
there we go.
There we go. Then we're good.
Yeah. All this talk about cake, ice cream, and sandwiches. We didn't buy ice cream today. I know it's January 2nd. We bought ice cream here. And my wife is going to go ahead and have some ice cream. Although it is not 30 here right now. It's like 48. So,
I mean,
reasonable.
So I stand by I don't care what temperature it is. I'll eat ice cream.
Stand by that. Cake and ice cream all day. All right. I feel like we're 25 minutes in. We haven't actually fully talked. We had actually talked about a decent number of sports, but are you ready to actually get the show on the road?
Yeah, I'm sure these people are waiting for us to actually talk besides sandwiches and food. So
some of my favorite podcasts, though, sports podcasts, they don't talk about the sports for the first 20 plus minutes, and I'm fine with it. Like it's my favorite entertainment. It's great. So, all right, we get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Welcome back, everybody, to the W Podcast. If you didn't know, we are actually live on YouTube as we record this. And if you haven't already, make sure you find our YouTube page, subscribe, and be a part of the channel. You can put it in comments. You can put in comments like "Cry, Caleb, cry." That's our favorite today. Incredible. Tubby, what a day to have a podcast recording.
I know. I mean, everybody knows. You've listened. We're not big on USC. So them losing, and the great part is that I called that last sequence of plays. Whenever Mario Williams fumbled the ball out on the 1 yard line, I looked at my dad and I said, okay, this is what's going to happen. They're going to get a safety, get the ball back, and they're going to score a touchdown and win the football game. Boom. Turnarounds that happen. And yeah, I think there was probably just as much cheering from me and my dad and watching that game than just about any game we've watched this year.
Oh, incredible. I think it's the happiest I've been to see a game against USC truly since the Texas Longhorn 07 national championship game.
Yeah.
Dude, I could not. It's incredible. And like you said, that kickoff, what is he doing? Like, I guess he was just zoned out or something when it went out of bounds. Then he was like, hey, he looked down and it was like, yeah, you made that mistake. It's at the 1 yard line now.
Yeah, I don't know what he was quite thinking, because I don't know if it would have went out of bounds if he would have touched it. It may have went out of into the end zone, but yeah, I feel like he was just trying to make a big play or something, try to do something. I don't know, but yeah, if it's that close to the sideline, just leave it be, because there's a chance it could kick sideways. You never know with the rotation of a football which way it wants to bounce.
That's true.
And
and for Tulane to turn the ball over late or in the midpoint of the second quarter, and it's a 2-possession game, and then USC only gets a field goal out of it, and so it's still technically a 2-possession game. They score relatively quickly. Man, that's just good coaching. Great, to go ahead and kick it deep because they had all their timeouts, and so they could adjust if they needed to. So they didn't have to kick it on sides, and it truly turned out to be a great decision. I mean, for Tulane, biggest win in their program's history. Last year at 2-10, and to go to the champions this year for the Cotton Bowl, right? Cotton Bowl.
Yeah,
my bowl's mixed up here.
It was the biggest turnaround in Division I football history. Go win 2 games, and then win 12 and win a Cotton Bowl. I mean, yeah, but this is just something we've talked about all year on the podcast. Is that if you're a fan of a Lincoln Riley-led team or an Alex Grinch-led defense, you're never secure unless you have like a 40-point lead in the fourth quarter, or with like halfway through the fourth quarter. You're never secure because there's just he doesn't have that killer instinct in him as a head coach, and we've seen it. What was the stat? It was he has lost 7 games when he's leading by 14 or more in the fourth quarter. Since 2017, most by any FBS coach in college football. It's those type of things that we've got used to it as Oklahoma fans, going, okay, we got a big lead. I'm not comfortable with it still, because he just doesn't have that go out there, put the foot on the throat, and just end it.
Yeah, he hasn't yet. And today, 45 points on offense was great. Caleb Williams, 1 pick. I loved it because it was an absolute ball don't lie. After that pass interference call, when every replay, RG3 was saying, yep, that's pass interference. And I'm looking like, bro, he didn't do anything. I don't even know why you're saying that's pass interference. But thankfully, the football world got to see the pick. And other than that, though, Caleb Williams did a pretty great job the whole day. But I think even more so than that, this is Alex Grinch. This is a testament to his defensive philosophy does not work. Grinch should be mopping floors at Dollar Tree. He sucks so bad. Thank you, Mike. That's good too. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah,
he should. It's bad. It's bad product.
If you're USC and he's your defensive coordinator, you can pretty much kiss any chance at a national championship goodbye, because his defense is just they don't tackle. I don't know if he doesn't teach it.
Tackle. Correct. I don't think they do.
I mean, you see him 90% of the time trying to punch the football out, or they do try to tackle. It's terrible angles, and they're not wrapping up. They're just trying to throw a shoulder into someone. I don't know how you, as Lincoln Riley, can justify keeping him after what you've seen. You've had him on your staff. This is the 4th year, including the 3 at Oklahoma, that your defense is just not good, especially against the run. Spears lit him up.
Yeah, absolutely. But so you either phase of the game. So for Grinch, he looks at the spreadsheet. Pratt, the QB for Tulane, goes 8 for 17. Oh, that's not bad. 2 touchdowns, I can live with. 234 yards on 8 completions. What are you doing? That's no tackling, and that's just because I didn't see busted coverage the whole day, which I did see Tulane a couple of times have busted coverage.
Yeah.
Where their guy would slip or fall or something like that, or just mix up. And like you said, Spears, 17 carries for over 200 yards, 4 scores, have a day. And Pratt also just did not back down running either. 83 yards scrambling. I mean, they ran the ball 34 times for over 300 yards.
Yeah, see, that's embarrassing. If you're a USC football player, I'd be embarrassed just because you had every chance at making it to the college football playoffs. You win that game against Utah, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
You just lost to a non-Power 5 school in embarrassing fashion when you had a 2-point lead with 4 minutes, or a 2-possession lead
with the turnover.
Yeah,
late in the game.
with 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
and you lose that game. I saw this thing that the USC fans are starting to understand what we're talking about, and they're like, we could have 8 consecutive Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. We'll never win a national championship with Alex Grinch as our defense coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues is that defense. It's not built to win. It's built to win, or say it's not built to win the big games. It's built to win 10 games in the regular season. But it's
built to beat Stanford, Cal, Washington State most of the time. That's what it's built for.
How many of those games were 1-possession games too?
Yeah.
Or late game situations. They may have won by like 14 points because they scored a garbage time touchdown or something. But most of those games, were pretty close games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brutal stuff, but we are so grateful. That's why I'm Tulane's #1 fan at the moment. So I'm going to love it. It's going to be good. I wanted to wear all green whenever we got on the podcast for YouTube, and then I didn't have enough green clean because I don't own that much green. But I think it would have been great. I'm like, boom, Tulane.
It would have been really great if one of us somehow popped up with the green wave hat or shirt on.
Man, that would have been clutch. If only we lived in New Orleans.
I know.
That's probably the only way we'd be like, I'm going out now and I'm going to go buy one.
I got to go find a sports store real quick. I got to go buy me a T-shirt.
Yeah. This game, though, I mean, it was a good game at least to watch. For USC, I think they have to move on from Grinch. There's no way he's going to create a culture. And the last play, the touchdown, that was initially ruled incompletion. Thankfully, they reviewed it. They see that the ball was caught. It was never on the ground. Mm-hmm. It was their 6'7" linebacker that got boxed out by a tight end because he's
big tight end.
Yeah, and this isn't what's the tight end for Georgia. We'll get into him. Bowers, right?
Brock Bowers.
It wasn't Brock Bowers' talent, but this tight end still big enough body was able to box him out. So I get 6'7's awesome, but you're not going to be able to body up some of these bigger guys when you're just recruiting all these small guys. I can't play defense in the Power 5.
No, just imagine what's going to happen in a couple of years in the Big Ten. If they keep Grinch and they keep recruiting these same guys, you're going to get manhandled week in, week out against teams that you shouldn't be. Just because
he already recruited and was a DC in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
He's going to say, I can do this.
Yeah, it's crazy because you look at, I mean, Northwestern. I'm not saying that they would beat them, but that is a gritty team that it reminds me a lot of what K-State can do, year in, year out, every once in a while. If they have a solid team, they could beat you just because they are that tough on defense, and they're going to just own the line of the trenches most of the time. You as USC, and you have this rule where, oh, no guy over 300 pounds. We want all the speed on the field. All the speed's great, but also you have to have people that can play in the trenches. And we've seen that with Oklahoma, and we've seen it happen in the playoffs this year too. It's you have to have guys built for the trenches, and you're going to keep on recruiting guys that are under 300 pounds because they don't meet your threshold. I even read something that they may even knocked it down to 290, which is insane.
Wow. 290 is way too small. It's just not going to work. Yeah. I'm excited for them to be in the Big Ten because it's going to be a real wake-up call, where I think that's where my fear is, and a little bit even as a Sooner fan, is even if I was a Longhorns fan, is am I recruiting the right people to play in this conference because the style is different. I will say that the Big Ten is still heavy into tight ends, heavy into the pro style set, where the SEC, I don't know if you're watching, there are more teams now going to the spread, the pass heavy, the air raids. I mean, Mississippi State, when was the last time we saw them do this kind of stuff? And they're air raiding all over the place. Obviously, that's a Mike Leach staple, so that makes sense. But I think you're seeing even in the SEC where there's a more variety, where in the Big Ten, it's Michigan for the most part, and Ohio State's more of the exception.
Yeah.
And then if it's not the exception, if you're not Ohio State, you're probably Maryland, and you're not as good at it.
Yeah, and Maryland, they're one of the few teams in the Big Ten that run more of a air raid style offense. Yeah. Because he took it's Mike Locksley. He took it from Alabama with him up to Maryland. So, yeah, there's a few teams in the SEC. You got Georgia's. They have solid tight end play every year. Then LSU, I think now with Brian Kelly there, they got a good couple solid tight ends. Yeah, I mean, we saw what he was able to do up in Notre Dame with the tight ends, and I wouldn't think that things would change coming down to the SEC. So there's maybe two teams that play more along that lines, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And I think the good thing for Oklahoma is that they are set up with a coach that has been able to compete year in, year out with the types of teams in the SEC. The Venables, I mean, they won 2 national championships with them as a DC, and he beat Alabama, in national championship. So I think he knows what it takes on defense to be able to match up with them. So I think that gives Oklahoma a great, advantage, I think, compared to Texas.
Well, I think the Texas thing is Texas is still going to get recruits. They got great facilities. Yeah. It's still the great brand. People love that ugly orange and white combo for some reason. I don't know. But even with all of that, I mean, they're still going to get recruits. And the other part is, in comparison to UCLA and USC, Texas, OU, where are they getting these recruits? Oklahoma's getting them in the South right now. They're getting some from the Midwest, maybe a couple here and there from, out West. But that's the primary focus for most of these teams, UCLA specifically, and Lincoln Riley loves out West, which is fine. But, man, it's just different.
Yeah.
Football's different.
It is. It really is. I mean, you saw – I don't know if you watched it. First couple weeks of the high school season, they had
Malachi
lost
Nelson
playing against a team down in Florida, which is a great team. I mean, that team has some big-time players on it. But so does that team. So does Los Alamitos. They have 4 or 5 guys that are 4 or 5 stars.
Yeah.
And they just got manhandled. The line of scrimmage got Yeah, and that's what it is. It comes down to they just aren't built tough out West. It's nothing against those players. There are some.
You're bringing the fire.
So there is some great kids that come out from out West.
Absolutely.
And nothing against them, but the high school football isn't as physical as it is down in Texas or down in Florida or down in Georgia, or even some out in some up in even upper parts of the East. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey has some really tough football. That area right there, the DC area has some really tough football.
You say that
So
Caleb Williams is one of the toughest guys out there. I mean,
yeah,
there you
he's
go.
from
DC.
DC. Yeah, exactly.
So, wow. Okay. So that we're gonna have to jump into some of these college football playoff games because otherwise we're gonna get stuck in on this. This is great though. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the forward thinking that these college teams are gonna have to do as they adjust because it's happening, and we still do not have any schedules out for the Big 12 next year, and so there's still that chance. There's still a chance that they're playing the SEC. I don't know. We'll see if it happens, but there's lots of time. Lots of time.
Yeah.
So looking at the college football game, which was the better game, Michigan TCU, or was it the Ohio State Georgia? What was the better game?
That's tough because both those games were incredible.
I know, and watching it, I will say that if either kicker from TCU or Michigan is on the field for the Georgia Ohio State final, then I think Ohio State wins that game.
Oh yeah,
that kick was brutal.
Yeah, he missed that one way bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Moody for Michigan, I think he may have won the Luke Roser Award or was one of the finalists. He was one of the best kickers in college football this year. I mean, the kid from TCU, he hasn't missed a single kick this year.
I know. Does a great job. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I enjoyed the Michigan TCU game more. There's just, I don't know, it seemed like it was just always competitive back and forth. And to me, the biggest thing that I noticed right off the bat was the fact that TCU was able to control both sides of the line, offense and defense, which is something I wasn't expecting at all. I was expecting them to kind of struggle, especially against Michigan's offensive line right off the bat, and that they had a couple really good goal line stops right off the bat, and I was pretty shocked that it took a little bit for Michigan's offense to really kind of control the offensive line. And there's still times though at big moments that TCU defensive line showed up when they needed to, got pressure on McCarthy, caused mistakes, throw an interception, fumble here and there. So I think that was the thing I was the most surprised about, was that they were able to hold their own against a really good defense and against the best offensive line in college football.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And so looking at even while I was playing, I was like, both QBs had 2 picks. And so for me, that was like, okay, so who was the better quarterback in this game? And I still say Max Duggan. Duggan did have the 2 rushing touchdowns also. J.J. McCarthy put in a rushing touchdown himself. But the fact that both picks were pick sixes, that is what for me was like, oh, man, he let his team down. But at the same time, that's even the ending wasn't his fault. Like that snap early, I truly believe that they would have had a shot at the end zone had he not had that botched snap. They would have had a chance to keep the ball going downfield and put themselves in that missed extra point.
Yeah.
Which I said how good the kickers. We talked about how good the kickers were. That one literally almost cost TCU a chance at the title.
Yeah, I was expecting the better quarterback to win the game, and I think that's what happened. I think he did play better. Granted, the numbers may not look like it, but there's just something about Max Duggan that he was able – I think you could see the leadership part of it, that he was able to keep his team together because, I mean, they had a big lead. And then all of a sudden,
they did.
It is a tight game, and Duggan didn't really waver too much. He had 2 interceptions, wasn't great, but even after the interceptions, he was able to come back out, and whenever Michigan would punch, come back out and they would strike themselves. So I think that showed the leadership side of what Duggan can do. And I don't know if we've seen a better college football playoffs.
No, period. Picking between them has got to be a nightmare because TCU Michigan was the first game, and that one was incredible. I mean, from the start, it was just high energy, great engagement from all. I mean, it was awesome. And it wasn't like all one-sided either of like, oh, yeah, they're both air raiding. No, there was a lot of big running plays too, just pick sixes, all the stuff. And then Ohio State, Georgia, I mean, that delayed a lot of people's New Year's plans.
Yeah.
They're like, this game keeps on going. And it was a great game. And I don't know. Do you think that the better quarterback won that game? College
I don't
quarterback.
think so. I think the game Stroud played may have been the best game I've seen Stroud played, period.
And like, what a wake up, like, way to just.
I think he unlocked something that he didn't use most of his career at Ohio State. And it was something that I think a lot of people, looked at Justin Fields and were like, man, why didn't he use his legs more? Stroud using his legs was the difference maker in that game, and why they were so hard to stop, because every single game that you watch him play and he doesn't use the legs, and you're like, man, he could have ran for that first down, or he could have ran and got positive yards instead of just throwing it away. And it kept Georgia on their toes, going, okay, he can get out of the pocket, so we can't bring too much pressure, and over pursue, or he's gonna, get out of the pocket and run. And so they had to kind of lax the, pressure a little bit there for a while, and he just started picking them apart, especially in the second, in the middle of the field. Marvin Harrison, until he got hit, was just absolutely unstoppable.
He was. And so when I'm watching that game in the beginning, I'm thinking Ohio State legit can win this game. And how good of a matchup would that have been? Ohio State's receivers versus TCU's corners. I mean, that would have been the epitome. So that, I think, is something that we can talk about as we go into the next one. But Marvin Harrison Jr., it's 5 for 106, 2 scores. And he's not, you just can't stop him.
Yeah, he is by far the best wide receiver in college football, and it's not close by any stretch of the imagination. I don't care if he didn't win the award, the Blitnikoff Award or whatever. He's the best wide receiver, and probably going to be the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in quite some years.
Oh yeah,
coming into the draft. But this is the exact thing. This offensive output they put out was the exact reason why I said this is the team Georgia doesn't want to see in the first round. And
Georgia should have lost.
Up. Yeah, I mean, really, you got to think, if Harrison doesn't get knocked out of that game, their offense kind of went mediocre after that. If he's still in that game, there's a good chance that Georgia loses that game, and we see Ohio State TCU national championship game.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can't take anything away from Stetson Bennett and that offense fighting back the way they did. They came. Yeah. I mean, Georgia is tough to beat. I mean, plain and simple. They just are hard to beat.
And yeah. Georgia, they have both Georgia and Ohio State recruit incredibly well, so that wasn't ever going to be an issue. It was so great talent on the field, where I think TCU and Michigan State probably recruit. Michigan probably gets slightly better recruits overall, typically. Yeah. So I think this is going to be the biggest challenges. Because both teams are incredibly well coached at this point. Like, you didn't make the championship game, you didn't win the playoff game if your team was not well coached. So between Georgia and TCU that we'll see next Monday, or I guess it's a week from today, I just cannot see a way that Georgia doesn't win this game. But we can get more into that here in a little bit. But that's just my fear right now.
Yeah, I think that is a very realistic chance that we just see Georgia put it to them. But I'm never going to count out Max Duggan and TCU with the way that they play. I mean, they are always in these tight games, and they've only lost one game that was tight game this year. So I'm not going to count them out ever, because Max Duggan, that dude has heart, and that's not something you can teach. He has heart, he has leadership, and I'm not going to count him out. Do I think that they have they'll win? Probably not. I think it'll be tough, but I hope it's a good game. I just hope we don't see another
34-11 or something like that.
Yeah, something just nasty. Yeah.
Yeah. The Max Duggan, one quick note on him. How great is it that this dude didn't transfer? The moment he got put on the back burner, that he didn't transfer, because look at him now. It's runner up to the Heisman this last year, and going to play in the college football championship. Most times, almost every single time, don't transfer. Earn your spot. Get back.
I think a lot of kids can look at that and go, man, he was a fourth year starter, and he lost the job to a sophomore. Yeah. And what he told Sonny Dykes and said, hey, this is my team. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be the best backup quarterback in college football. And that's the mindset he had. And same thing with Quentin Johnston. I don't know. Did you see the story about where I guess during the off season, during the middle of the summer, he said, he asked his dad, should I go to Oklahoma? And his dad said, hey, man, you came this far.
Mm-hmm.
Stick it out. You know the system. You don't have to learn a new system. And it was a great decision for him because he was already established as one of the top wide receivers going into this year and going into the draft. So it wasn't really like he was playing for a whole lot to, up his draft stock or whatever, but more of a pride thing. You started that journey, finish it. I think that's something that these kids just aren't seeing these days. You started something, finish. Yeah. It may be hard. You may not start right off the bat. And for you to think that you will in a Power 5 school is crazy. To think I'm going to come in and I'm going to be, starting freshman, blah, blah, blah. If you're coming into a big powerhouse school, like Oklahoma or Georgia or Ohio State, Alabama, all these, it's going to be hard for you to make your way in because you may have been the best in high school in your state or whatever, but the chances of you being the best on your team are very slim. Yeah. So stick it out, fight. It shows more about your character if you're going to stick around and then run when things get hard.
Yeah. Wow. And there's super great to see someone do that and succeed. Obviously, we're going to, the amount of transfer portal people is always just insane. So to have one incredible success story on the other side of it. So any big standout things for those two games, for either of those games that, man, you just surprised by? I truly thought Ohio State was going to win that game.
Yeah.
That was the biggest surprise they didn't.
My biggest is still just the both sides of the trenches for TCU. I know TCU has a solid offensive line. Steve Avila is a high, prospect when it comes to the draft center-wise. But I wasn't expecting them to be able to handle Michigan's offensive line as well as they did. Yeah. And you got the more award-winning offensive line, and then you got a really solid defensive line. And I was like, man, they're going to probably struggle a little bit. And right off the bat, they went out there, and you could tell that was a point of emphasis for them. We got to win the trenches. And the first two quarters, they won the trenches, and it wasn't even close. You saw a team that, there's the stigma around the Big 12 is that they're not tough, they're not physical. And they out-physicaled Michigan most of that game. And to me, that was the biggest thing I saw. I was not expecting. So I was very surprised that actually happened.
Is there any fault to Jim Harbaugh that you have? Like, you're like, oh, see, that's the old Jim. Or is this like, hey, just sometimes you don't win that game?
I think it's just sometimes you don't win that game. I don't see a whole lot about it that I saw, man, coaching-wise, that was just not good. There's a few things, but that's typical within a game where you can look at it and go, you probably shouldn't have done that, or you probably should have done this instead. I thought it was just a great game, and they got outmatched. The only thing you could say maybe Jim Harbaugh didn't do was get those guys ready to play right off the bat. They came out a little sluggish. They had a few, things that didn't go their way. The touchdown that probably should have happened, that they called them down at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, we almost forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a big play, but you can't blame it on the ref play because the ref play, the ref in that game wasn't great on both sides. Yeah, you've had a couple missed calls. There maybe should have been a targeting play, call at the very end, but also there's a horrible roughing the passer that extended the drive for Michigan. They dropped a pass and they didn't even review it, and they scored a touchdown on. So there's some things.
What crew is that? Was that a Pac-12 ACC crew? What kind of crew was that?
SEC.
That one? Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Oh, that's good. It's still got to be better than Big 12, right?
Yeah, no, we've seen the Big 12.
Way it's not worse.
Yeah. I think the only one that may be worse is going to be the Pac-12, but the Big 12, not good.
Yeah, Pac-12 was the one that said, "Oh, he called timeout after the pick." But before he was tackled, so we're going to give him an extra 34 seconds because
it happened in the middle of the play.
Yeah. So after those games, they ended. It was obviously a ton of scoring. The lowest scoring team was 41 points. It was incredible. If you don't like defensive football. And literally one of the first articles I see is that it's a Trojan, it's a USC writer, and it literally says this is why USC should have been in the playoff, which I'm like, I am what? And then so today's game to have USC lose a similar game, but to Tulane, a non-Power 5 school, incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that people are calling for USC or Alabama to be in that game, I'm like, you didn't earn your way there. So I don't care. Maybe you are one of the best 4 teams. I don't know, but you didn't. I mean, obviously USC wasn't. They prove it today that they weren't one of the best 4 teams.
Clearly, they would have. They might have given up 100.
Yeah, and so Alabama maybe had an argument, but you lost 2 games. I don't care. You lost 2 games. You lost. You didn't win. You make it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't deserve to be there. I don't care if those 2 teams lost in their conference championships and made it, or however it was. You didn't earn your way there, so you didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah. It's the fact that they lost to Utah and then they had a chance to redeem it, right? Like that's the redemption side. Oh, we beat the team that beat us, so we're good. They didn't do that. Now you look at obviously the other losses that were there. So Michigan didn't lose anything. You don't got to say anything. Georgia obviously didn't lose. You don't got to talk about it. But Ohio State, their only loss at that time came to a team that was in the playoffs. So you're already like, okay, so we lost to one of the best. So there you go. And they probably would have beat Purdue had they been in there. And then if you look at TCU, they did lose to K-State, but they already beat them.
Yeah.
So they still did the same thing that literally USC could not do. So I appreciate John in the chat just said, as a Bama fan, he can even agree Bama did not deserve to be there. And they played, they beat down K-State in that game. I think that was a great point of like clearly just the better crew over there. Better talent right now at Alabama compared to K-State. I think that was just obvious in that game.
Yeah. And John, he's one of my buddies from the card show. So appreciate you being here, supporting us. So I'll just give you a little shout out.
Let's go. Yeah. And a Bama fan. So yeah. We love that. We got lots of future SEC conversations. We're going to, hopefully that becomes a great rivalry. Oklahoma out in Bama. That'd be great.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Man. All right. So, well, I think it's time. We got a great playoff push coming in the NFL, and I got some predictions coming. So, how do you feel if we moving on?
Let's do it.
All right. So, I got a game first. I know you love games. This is called Name That QB. I got 3 QBs. And so, if you know what these QBs are, I want you guys to put it in the chat. If you put your best guess of what these guys are. So, we got QB number 1 has going into this last week, so I don't have this week's on there, but going into this week, had 2,700 yards with 22 touchdowns, 14 picks, right? Okay. So let me go. I'll put this in the chat so people can hopefully see it. I actually don't want to put. Remember whenever we did the review of the draft? Yeah. And then I put my secret note in there so that way you knew who won. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to put number 1. So it's QB1. It's it put all of it together. That's lame. So at 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 14 picks. So QBR at 62. Okay. QB2 has 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 14 picks. QB3 has 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks. And it's QBR at 40. Okay. Can you name them? And I can repeat any stats.
Hear number 3 real quick.
Number 3 was 3,300 yards with 24 touchdowns, 11 picks, and a QBR at 40. So it's the worst QBR.
Do you have completion percentage?
I don't.
No. Okay. I know one of them's Derek Carr.
Okay. That's why this is brought up.
Yeah, QB1's Derek Carr. And then I want to say QB2 is Dak Prescott.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say QB3 is Josh Allen.
You got 2 of the 3 QBs right. That's pretty impressive. Of the 3, the one that you got wrong, so I'm going to give you another guess, was Josh Allen. Josh Allen is not in this as an option.
Okay. I'm trying to think. 24 touch. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that is all 3 quarterbacks. QB3 is Aaron Rodgers with 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks going into last weekend's game, and he has the worst QBR. QB1 with 2,700 yards. That was Dak Prescott.
Wow.
QB2 was Derek Carr with the most yards, tied for the most touchdowns. Yes, he was tied for the most interceptions, but he had a QBR at 56, which is above average. And the dude just got benched and dismissed essentially from the team to not be a distraction.
Yeah. I don't understand it. Yeah, winning does solve a lot of things.
That's exactly my point. Is because look, even Aaron Rodgers, they've gone on a streak and are 8-8 now, and we'll get to that soon. Mm-hmm. Winning solves problems. Dak Prescott, dude's got more picks and fewer games.
Yeah. Can you look? My biggest thing is, can you look at Dak Prescott and what he's done and think to yourself, that guy can win me a Super Bowl?
No,
because when it comes to playoffs, you have to have the quarterback play to win you that Super Bowl. Unless you're in a year where you have like a Trent Dilfer when defense is the biggest thing back at the early 2000s in football, where you had to have the best defense, one of the best defenses to win every year. And so
the NFL is different now. That's not going to happen.
And that's the thing. Yeah, you have to have the quarterback play nowadays to win. And I just don't see Dak Prescott, especially over the last few weeks. I mean, he's had 2 interceptions against the Texans, has a couple of interceptions against the Titans. How many turnovers did he have against the Eagles? It's the fact that down the stretch of the game, the season, you are winning games, but your quarterback's not playing good. And I still don't think that defense is anywhere close to being as good as what the numbers show at certain positions. Because one, they have like the 25th ranked rush defense, but they have like the 5th ranked passing defense.
Yeah.
I still think because you get a good, smart, savvy quarterback, you're going to be able to beat that secondary, especially with it being dinged up now. Diggs is very susceptible to double moves. He tries to jump routes, and you get a savvy guy in there. I'm not saying Tampa Bay is going to go on a run, but you have a guy like Tom Brady and Mike Evans out on the edge.
Yeah,
they know each other. They play with each other for a while. Tom Brady, it's hard to beat in the playoffs.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. We can get another 2 here in a second, but we just had a good question that said, what do y'all think happens with Derek Carr? I almost said David Carr. Oh, man, I think he's still in the booth. But Derek Carr, I think there is the number 1 landing spot, which would be the Saints. Now, do the Saints have enough money? Probably not, but I could see a bunch of really, big wacky trades, 3-team trades in the offseason where the Saints get rid of Sean Payton, and then the Raiders get something, and then the Sean Payton goes to the Broncos or something weird like that. I don't know. I can see a lot of shuffling happening, but there's going to have to be because the Saints don't have a whole lot of cap space, and obviously Derek Carr is not going to be free. So that's my biggest thing. But I don't know. Is there a better landing spot?
I know a lot of people are going to want to hear the Jets.
Okay.
But do I think that Derek Carr can handle the New York limelight? I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's built that way. And it's nothing against him.
He could handle it better than
yeah, he can't be any worse than Zach Wilson, Mike White. And he could be good enough with that defense to get him over the top. So I would not be surprised if that's, an option on the table. I think you could throw out a flyer and say maybe Tampa Bay if Tom Brady decides not to resign.
To go to Oakland or something like that?
Yeah.
Not Oakland. Oh, my gosh, man. Las Vegas.
I know what you're talking about.
Did you know that there are lots of Raiders fans that they won't buy the merch that has the LV on it? Like, they only want the logo now because they're like, no, I'm a Raiders fan. I'm not a Las Vegas fan.
Yeah, I'm an Oakland guy. Yeah, makes sense.
I'm just saying, you go try to buy some Raiders gear right now, and if it has the LV, I bet they have your size available to anyone who's listening. And if you try to buy anything that just has the logo but no LV, it's probably unavailable.
I mean, that's pretty.
Problem.
Guess they're those Oakland people are loyal.
Yeah. So I could see that. But even the Tampa Bay one, I don't know if Tom Brady has had a bit of a run the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Great classic vintage game this last week where he puts up a massive, massive game with the help of Mike Evans. It's almost like he forgot Mike Evans was this good if you just give him the ball this much. And Chris Godwin still had 10 catches himself, even with the fumble. So I think that you'll look at all things considered. I'm a little bit antsy if I got to play Tom Brady week 1 right now in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's something that we said a couple weeks ago, I'm never going to count Tom Brady when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, you can't.
Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's won. There's a reason why he's won 7 Super Bowls, because he's the greatest quarterback. And when it comes crunch time, that's the guy you want on the field. So, yeah, they may have limped their way into the playoffs, being in the worst division in football, but I'm not going to count the guy out. And I guarantee you, whoever has them in the first round is not happy about it.
Yeah, we'll have to see who they end up getting, because we're going to get to predictions here in just a minute. But it's a scary feat because it's them, and they do have all the weapons around them. So I don't know. We're going to have to see. So, all right. So we got that. We got our QB game already under wraps, and I love that you nailed 3 out of 4, and then even with one elimination, you got all 3 quarterbacks, and almost in the right order too, which is pretty impressive.
Got them a little flipped, but hey,
that's all right. You just can't stump. You're the stump the Schwab. That you are the Schwab. Do you remember that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Great show.
It's a classic. I loved it because I was like, I'm going to try and stump him at that hole. This is good.
Yeah, I like it.
So now that you're looking at the playoff pictures, almost completely out there now. You got the Eagles, who are stumbling down the gates, and I think it was no surprise that Hurts didn't play this weekend, and that's why they lost, right? Gardner Minshew is a good backup. He is not a starter in the NFL, and that's why they lost this game. And so I think if need be, he will play this weekend, Hurts, to get them that number 1 seed, because they do want the bye and need the bye for Hurts specifically.
Yeah, and I just want to know where Chris Sims is now with his take that, oh, well, Gardner Minshew, he put him in that system and he's going to be just as good as Jalen Hurts. No, this game right here proves it.
Yeah.
I mean, even the game before, I guarantee you Hurts doesn't throw as many interceptions as Minshew does and lose that game. So the fact that you just lost to the Saints, with Minshew having a bad game, proves that he's not that guy that you can go, oh, it's just a system. Jalen Hurts isn't that good. It's a system.
Yeah.
The Chris Sims thing, the guy has had some wild takes the last few weeks, and sometimes it just makes me wonder how these people get on TV and stay on TV.
Yeah, I think it's because it's not as expensive, right? Dana Orlovsky, why him? Because he's inexpensive. Yeah. His name is not a hot commodity.
Yeah,
that's very true. Dana Orlovsky. I really don't.
No, me neither. I don't know.
But they lost to the Saints. The Saints has somehow managed to get their way to a 7-9 record right now going into the last week. They are eliminated from playoffs. They cannot win the division, so they are out. But the Eagles at 13-3 right now. Not only are they, I mean, if they may lose that number 1 spot, which seemed almost like there's no shot that anyone else is going to get there. But it's because the Cowboys played a team that refuses to have a quarterback in the Titans this last week. Josh Dobbs got his first career start. He's going to get a second now.
Playoffs. Not a fan of Dobbs?
I'm not. He's not a starter in the NFL. Come on now.
No.
But you look at Dak Prescott again. The Zeke. Yeah. Tony Pollard didn't play in this game. Still 27-13. But again, no Derrick Henry, no quarterback. There's no chance you win that game. They still put up 13 points.
Yeah. I mean, Dobbs had his first career touchdown. So hey, good for you.
Hey, look at that. So do you think the Cowboys they have a realistic shot at this division when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I mean it all really depends. I mean, I think we're all saying, I think we all are probably penciling in Jalen Hurts in that game. But how healthy is Jalen Hurts? That's going to be the biggest question.
It is his throwing shoulder too. That's the hardest part.
And they're playing against a Giants team that is played deep. This last game, that defense looked tough. So will the Giants play, all their starters will be the question, because they really have nothing to play for. They can't move up in the standings. They are where they are. So maybe they sit some guys and don't really push potential injury before, a week before the playoffs, because really got nothing to play for. So I say realistically, yes, the Cowboys have a shot, but I'm still going to go with the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts will be healthy enough, come in there, get the win, secure that number 1 seed, and Dallas will end up playing the Buccaneers week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I haven't seen how it breaks down. So obviously the Eagles, because they have the better record, they have the seed right now, and the number 2 is the 49ers. So if somehow Dallas gets in there or San Francisco gets in there, I guess, yeah, I'm not sure what the breakdown is on that one. But if I look at it, because San Francisco has the better conference record, so they have the tiebreaker. And so looking at this, I'm like, there's a potential that you could see somehow Philadelphia playing the Giants somehow mathematically in that first round of the playoffs. And then if you're the Giants, you really don't want to put any of your cards on the table because you're already, like you said, they're set. They're 6. Yeah. They can't be any better than 6. I don't even think they can be worse. They can't even be worse than 6.
Yeah. So why would you want to beat them and possibly play them again next week?
Yeah. You got so that's I could definitely see them kind of resting their starters. So I do think the Eagles should want to win this game even more because they don't want to have to beat a team twice.
Well, no, it's not possible that the Eagles could play the Giants though, because conference, if they don't win the conference, they automatically become the 5th seed.
How much?
But
they would be above. They'd be 12-4.
It'd be if the Cowboys win
13-4.
If the Cowboys win, they'll be 13.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if the Cowboys lost to the Commanders.
Okay. Dak
Prescott them to do that. Right?
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
But I'm just saying if they lose, Giants lose, 49ers win.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
We can't keep playing these games, man.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to play them 3 times in one season.
Yeah. Well, let alone back-to-back weeks. I mean, that's just ugh.
No.
But so you look at this right now. Tampa Bay, they did clinch in the NFC. We didn't get to see our Panthers sneak in somehow with our favorite quarterback, Sam Darnold of USC, which is unfortunate, but that is what happened. So can Tom Brady make a deep run? How deep? Because if you look at this, they've gotten hot. They're playing against really bad teams lately. But if you look at the top heaviness of this conference, the Eagles with Harris are a different team. 49ers are on a different level right now, and CMC looks incredible.
Yeah. To me, and we've already seen Tampa Bay get just destroyed by the 49ers. So I don't think that's a recipe that they want for a chance. But like I said, it's Tom Brady. I'll never count the guy out in the playoffs just because, I mean, he's got 7 championships.
He does for a reason.
So it's not the best Tampa Bay team. Defense isn't great. So do I think that they will? No, but do I think they can? Yeah, just because it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady pushing that team. And you never know. I mean, Tom Brady may call it quits. He said he's probably not, but you never know. Something may happen and you just go, yeah, I'm just done.
Yeah.
And he's not going to want to go out being a loser in the playoffs.
No, he's not. He's going to go out being a loser in the regular season with the Raiders. No, we'll see if that happens. But between the Lions, the Packers, and the Seahawks, there is one spot left. Who's getting that spot? I mean, the Lions won again this week. The Packers absolutely won again, destroyed the Vikings. The Vikings might be one of the worst 12-4 teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're the only team with their winning record, with an above 500 record, to have a negative point differential.
And they get blown out. It's either they either win the game in an epic comeback or it's a blowout, like of epic proportions. It feels like.
Yeah, they have 12 wins on the season. 11 of them, 1-possession games. The only other time that they won was week 1 against the Packers when they blew out the Packers. They've gotten lucky a lot, and I won't. You ain't gonna change my mind about that. They've gotten lucky a lot, and maybe luck is able to win you some games in the playoffs. I don't know.
There is some luck, but I think a lot of it is going to be the best team, the best quarterback on the field is typically what's going to do it. Yeah,
can Kirk Cousins show up in the playoffs?
No.
Exactly.
No, it's like can Dak Prescott win you? No.
Yeah, and so, but going back to the final spot, I'm trying not to. I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm going to say the Lions get in.
You don't want to jinx it, so the Detroit Lions are making the playoffs. You can stamp.
I've been reverse psychology this thing the whole season, anti-jinxing it since the midway of the season. Going, yeah, the Packers are done. They just don't have anything for the season. They ain't gonna make playoffs. Put Jordan Love in. So I feel like if I say, oh yeah, Packers are totally in, they're gonna go in. This is a team no one wants to play. They're gonna lose somehow, and they're not gonna make the playoffs. So I'm just gonna go with the Lions.
Like I'm abstaining from my pick. That's what I'm doing. I'm deferring to you, and I will receive in the second half.
I'm trying to reverse psychology it, just so maybe the Packers can win. Now, I think the Packers they're playing great. The defense has been the biggest difference. Is we've seen a different defense over the last 4 or 5 weeks that we didn't see at the beginning of the season. This is the defense I was expecting
at the beginning of the year.
Go.
Yeah.
And Jair Alexander, he was playing mind games with Jefferson before the game even started. Did you see what he said at the beginning of the week?
What did he say?
He said, week 1, that stuff that he did, it was all fluke.
Okay, you better back it up. And he did.
Yeah. And it was the one thing he was so mad about week 1 was that he wasn't able to travel with Jefferson all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
That game, he was on Jefferson almost, I would say probably 90% of the snaps. Jefferson ends up with 1 catch for 15 yards.
Sorry, a lot of your fantasy football seasons that just went down the tanks on, because I bet there are a lot of teams that had Jefferson shares.
Yep. I had 1 share in championship with Jefferson. I still got another week, but I'm down by 40 points. Oh, it was one of those
2-week ones?
Yeah. I'm down by 40 points. So,
but you get 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. And he's got some guys that makes it, but yeah, Jefferson ends up with 1.5 points. Or 2.5 points, I mean.
5,
yeah. It wasn't great, but I was okay with it as a Packers fan. I was like, hey, shut them down. And so, yeah, do I think Packers get in? Probably. I think Lions have to come to Lambeau. Going to be in the elements. Rodgers is hard to beat.
Rodgers is hard to beat in the regular season. The problem is this is the second year that we have technically week 1 of the postseason. This weekend it's not postseason, it's regular season, but this is normally a postseason weekend. And now we're getting Aaron Rodgers, who's not been as good at home in the postseason.
But also in the month of January, though, he's like 23-5 in his career.
Yeah. And it's going to be 30-ish outside, not going to in the line. Yeah. I'm going to pick the Packers to win. And I love that this is a prime time. This is a 7:20 game. This is the Saturday. This is the Sunday game.
Sunday night game.
Sunday night. Look, playoff on the line. I love that.
For the Lions, though, they need more help. For them, it's not winning in. Yeah, they need to win and Seahawks lose to the Rams, which could happen. I mean, Baker's played great.
Rams team is going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, Baker's played good. I mean, he didn't play bad yesterday, but it's just the Rams. Mm-hmm. You're either going to get 55 points or you're going to only score 10. Yep. So I think the Seahawks probably win that game, but somehow with the conference records and all that stuff.
It's the conference record. They're game up, and then if the Packers win, they'll be. It doesn't matter. So the Packers are the only team that technically control their whole destiny this upcoming weekend, which is why I think they're the primetime game, and Seattle is the afternoon game because you obviously want ICE to tune in on that one. So if that's the afternoon game, there's still playoff potential on the line.
Yeah, and for the Lions, that afternoon game, if Seahawks win, the only thing you have to play for is being a spoiler. And that could be a big thing for them.
Against the Packers,
we don't want to see the Packers in there. But then again, it could be a demoralizing thing going, man, we're playing this game. We don't even have a shot at the playoffs now.
Yeah.
So it could be a factor. I don't think Dan Campbell would let that happen. Let them go, oh, well, we're not in, so we're not going to play hard because that team plays hard for him. So I wouldn't expect that to happen.
I don't either, and I don't even know that they'll have the game on in the locker room pregame or anything like that. Like he'll probably say, like, shut it down. We're just going to win this game. That's the type of coach he seems like he is. Mm-hmm. I think the one thing that I wish Joseph was still here on the podcast for was to talk about how it feels to have 9 straight losses. This is the longest losing streak for the Bears ever. And not a whole lot you have to talk about it. This team was set up and designed to lose right now. That's what they were designed to when they made those trades on the defensive side to get picks. So maybe for this feels good as a Bears fan, even though it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to have it as perspective, also for the USC stuff and for OU that we did on the YouTube stuff. Would have been great. I mean,
the Bears. Oh, I did too. I texted them Christmas and stuff. You know, like Merry Christmas. You know, text them a few things here and there whenever like USC lost to Utah or you know stuff like that. Just kind of keep in touch with them.
That's
good. But I think the great thing for the Bears is sitting there thinking, man, we got that second pick. You got Stroud and you got Bryce Young. Only one of them go number one. You're going to get a king's ransom for that.
Exactly right, because there are so many teams that need that QB. The Rams, they got nothing to trade, so you don't got to worry about them. But the Panthers could be in play. Obviously the Saints,
the Colts.
If the Lions somehow wanted to trade, you get even more of a king's ransom because that's an interdivision team. And I am hardcore. Like any fantasy sport, if I look at who's my division teams, I am not trading with them. Like I can't imagine losing the division to a player I gave them. But there's the Broncos. I don't think they can do anything. But the Colts, maybe.
The Raiders. I mean,
Raiders, absolutely. The Titans, the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's teams, and I would imagine you trade that pick, you're going to get close to what the 49ers got, if not more, move up or gave up to move up to number 3. So, yeah, you're the Bears. I take 2 or 3 first-round picks and a couple second-round picks. I'll move back in the draft if I have to. And because we don't need a quarterback. We need an offensive line.
Justin Fields looks good.
Yeah, you need an offensive line, and you need some defense. Yeah. You got that all day in this draft. So, yeah, I'm moving back if that's my possibilities. Yeah.
Move back far enough to get the great deal, right? Like you said, all the picks, but not too far to where you miss out on one of the top tier talents. That's that fine line. And I think they can do it. I think that there'll be a team, the top 5, that'll want to go to 2, right? Like you said. So, we'll have plenty of draft season prep. Don't worry. You're sitting there getting anxious and antsy, listen at home or watch it on YouTube. Don't worry. You got the best in the business with Tubby here who knows the ins and outs of all the NFL draft. It's like Christmas morning all over, but in April, I'm telling you, it's going to be a great preview episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there may be some content leading up to it, too. Who knows?
Who knows? I know. That's true. That's very true. Yeah. Can't count that out. So the last real, I think, NFC thing that we want to talk about is the Commanders. Any reason? I mean, they're eliminated from the playoffs, and even their coach didn't know they could get eliminated from the playoffs. Is the ultimate Commanders thing. What are we doing?
Yeah, if I'm them, I'm looking at that. I'm shaking my head a little, scratching my head, I should say more, going, man, how is the coach you not know you lose that game and the Packers win that you could be eliminated, or you will be eliminated?
Yeah.
My biggest thing, though, is I'm still trying to figure out how on earth you thought Carson Wentz was the guy to win you that game to get you into the playoffs.
Right. It took like 3 plays before everyone remembered, oh, that's why he's not starting. Like 3 plays, and you're like,
I'll take Taylor Heinicke's heart and motivation, because that team just played different with him.
It's like
than
Mike
it did
White.
I mean, just better.
Well, I'm saying but they're like, yeah, I'll play for Mike.
Yeah.
I ain't back.
Yeah, exactly. And you won 5 games in a row there for a little bit, and then you played some tough competition and lost some games. Nothing to scoff about. Okay, you keep him in the game. Yeah, he wasn't playing the best, but man, he's definitely not Carson Wentz. And so I think there maybe lit a little bit of fire under his hot seat, because I know a lot of those guys loved Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is a good coach and he's a great human being. And so that plays a lot into it. But man, you didn't know you could be eliminated that day, and you made a head-scratching decision with the quarterback. That you went with the guy that has proven time in and time out that he can't get it done, and he just makes dumb mistakes at wrong times. And we saw that happen again against the Browns and cost you your chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, I was real shocked by that post-game comment. Like, oh, I didn't know he could.
Yeah.
But I hope they keep him. I know this is a big mistake. This is like not calling a timeout. Like, oh, I didn't know I had timeouts that I could use. Or not knowing how to do that. This is a pretty big mistake. But, I mean, it's a lot of mistakes. Maybe they're a team that goes out and gets a quarterback.
Yeah, Derek Carr. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, stop with this Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Heinicke, like this rotation of guys, Davis Mill. Like there are so many of these guys who are clearly backups. Don't go get one of those. Do not keep that. That should not, because this team has a good defense. They have good skill position players. That Brian Robinson's going to be a solid running back next year. I just calling it right now. People didn't know that.
And you got Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson had flashes of being a really good wide receiver. You'll get Chase Young back next year. Arguably your best defensive player.
Game changer.
So, there's a lot to like about that, but you just got to have a quarterback.
Yeah, and one defensive player can really mean that much. I mean, just look at how much better the Steelers' defense is with T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's night and day to me.
And the thoughts of that defensive line, you got Montez Sweat, you got Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, and then you got Chase Young. That's a defensive line most teams are not going to want to go up against because they rush the passer really well, and they're all four really good at stopping the run.
It makes me think a lot of the Giants back in the day when they had JPP and Strain, like all those like four solid guys.
Ugh. O.C. Umanura, Justin Tuck.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that was a good line.
Yeah.
So right now, as we're recording this fantasy championship, I'm not playing next week. It's a week 17, not an 18 thing. I just need 6 points. 6.6 points right now from Chase. And so already a touchdown in the game. And it wasn't him. Stupid Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins is getting catches. Literally, I don't know that Chase has a target. Does he have a target? Let me look at it. Oh, it's defense. No, he doesn't even have a freaking target. What are we doing here, people? Come on.
I mean, this is another instance where I go, man, I wish Joseph was on here because Joseph could go, I won. My name's finally going to be on the trophy.
It is. After all those years of rebuilding, he has dominated the keeper league this year.
Yep.
And he won this other league I'm in this year. He won last year. And the dude's on fire.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
No.
All right. So in the AFC, there are a couple playoff spots that were still up for grabs. You got the Jags, who are literally one win away, and they play, you guessed it, the team that can keep them from the playoffs. That doesn't have a quarterback and probably won't have a running back, in the Tennessee Titans this week.
Yeah.
So the Jags, in theory, they should be there, but could you see them playing out like what the Colts did last year, where they fumble over themselves and they get themselves eliminated from the playoffs on the last day?
I don't, just because quarterback play. You got Trevor Lawrence, and I think this week's game that they played was a great win for them, even though it was against the Texans. Trevor Lawrence played bad, and they still won the game handedly. And so I think that right there shows you, okay, we do need Trevor to win games, most of the time, but there can be instances where we can win with him having a bad game. And I think that was a very crucial point for them, especially leading up to this game. I mean, we just saw this team lose to the Texans a couple weeks ago, so I wouldn't expect them to come out and win. I mean, that was a team even with Derrick Henry in the lineup. They lost that game. So I wouldn't expect the Titans to have much for him. And I think we see Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs for the first time in his career. And I think it's a much deserved. The way he's played. We said it last week. We saw a page finally, something finally clicked for him where he looks like that quarterback that we all expected going number one.
Yes, which, thank goodness for the Jacksonville fan base. They're getting something besides London football games going well for them. I'm just saying. Somehow the Steelers are also still have a shot. They're also still having a shot. That doesn't make grammatical sense, but that's okay. After the win over the Ravens, in the NFC, you have the worst 12-4 team. In the AFC, you have one of the worst 10-6 teams. Without Lamar Jackson healthy, I think they're just holding them out because they've already clinched. This is bad.
I would think. Yeah, it's not good. I mean, if you're the Steelers, you're okay with it because it got you a win. But I think, you're holding Lamar out because you made the playoffs. But again, how rusty is he going to be come playoff time? So maybe they let him play a little bit in this game just to
does it even matter? We know how bad he's been in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he hasn't been good, so that is a good point. But at least you want the best chance you have. So maybe you let him play a series or two, to maybe try to knock some rust off if he's healthy enough to play this weekend. Because, like I said, you clinched, you're in the playoffs, so you don't really have anything you're playing for. Unless the Bengals lose this game, then there's, I think, still a chance at division. But I don't know if that's 100% still the thing since they lost, but I think
no, it's technically still a chance at the division. They have not won their division.
Okay, yeah, and so to me though, that game I think says a lot more about the Steelers, even though they didn't play great. But this is 2 weeks in a row where Kenny Pickett has led the team down the field to score a late, game touchdown to win a game. And that has to build some confidence for him. And honestly, you looking at the route they need to make it to the playoffs, it's a very realistic chance. If the Bills lose tonight to the Bengals, they have something still to play for next week.
Yeah,
so they won't be able to set
right now.
Yeah. Okay, so they won't be able to set Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and stuff. So that's going to make it a lot harder for the Patriots. And then all you need is the Jets to beat the Dolphins without Tua or Teddy Bridgewater. Very possible. We saw how bad Skylar Thompson looked in that game. So you're sitting there as a Patriot or the Steelers going, man, if we just win, we keep our streak of, Tomlin's streak of never being under
losing season.
Under 500, and you're in the playoffs again. In a team that we didn't expect to even have a chance at the playoffs this year, just because they're going to have either it's Mitchell Trubisky or a rookie quarterback playing, and maybe we see somehow them squeak into the playoffs again, just like last year.
I know, exactly like last year, and then get thumped probably in the week one. But you talk about the Dolphins, and you're right. The quarterback right now for them is a question mark at best. Mm-hmm. And the problem is this is one of the most streaky teams in the NFL. We said the last couple of weeks. Started off 3-0, then found themselves 3-3, then found themselves at 8-3, and probably going to miss the playoffs. They do play against the Jets. So you're like, okay, well, that's winnable, but I don't know who's playing quarterback. I don't know if it is winnable.
I mean, even with Tua in that game, the way Tua had played the 3 weeks before he got hurt, wasn't playing great, and that's a tough defense. That the Jets' defense is not easy.
Yeah,
and so they have questions at quarterback, so that may make it a little bit easier for the Dolphins. But I ain't sitting there going, I trust Skylar Thompson.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Yeah,
and I do think so. As far as games go, like the Steelers get the Browns this week. The Browns have been a competitive team, and they can run the ball well. It's going to be a classic January day in Pittsburgh, so the weather shouldn't be too big of an issue, I don't think. Same thing with the Bills Patriots. Weather's not going to be a big issue, and if weather's a big issue, then I think that levels the playing field a ton. That's why that's an important thing to look at this time of year. But if I'm picking anybody right now, I think it's the Steelers.
That was my thought. I'm going with the Steelers. I don't think the Patriots have an offense that can score, especially if the Bills are playing for something. Say the Bills win and they clinch the number 1 seed. I could see the Patriots winning that game because you're going to be seeing. I can't even think of the backup quarterback for them anymore. I know Barkley was there for the Bills. I know Barkley was there. Oh, shoot. His name just left my mind.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
He's a career backup. Played for the Vikings a couple of years.
Case Keenum, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, Case Keenum. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Case Keenum going to win you game. I guarantee you they probably hold Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Matt Milano, a lot of these guys out. So it'd make it a lot easier for the Patriots. But they lose this game, I don't see the Patriots beating, number ones for the Bills. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I think they find a way to beat the Browns. I'm not sold on Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's played great at all since he's been healthy. Since he's been playing. Yeah, they've won games, but it's the Steelers. They're their nemesis.
Yeah. So someone just put it. Jake just put it in the chat, and I had the game up on my other laptop over here, and I can't tell, but he said someone really got hurt, and I thought the feed that I was looking at, they're doing CPR on the field. The feed that I was looking at, I thought it was like a pregame presentation thing. I have no idea. That is insane. I think it's a Bills player. I didn't see, Jake. I don't know if you saw it, but if you know what player it is. But that is absolutely insane. But
that's horrible.
I mean, this game, that's awful. Ugh.
Yeah, that's not the news you want.
Never the news you want. Yeah, they just keep going to break, because obviously, I mean, you
don't want to show that. Yeah.
Jeez.
Golly.
Well, yeah.
Well, whoever the player is, prayers and hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's horrible.
Man, yeah, that is a brutal blow. So I don't know if you want to keep talking after that, or if you want to say, hey.
I don't know if I got much to say after that now.
Yeah, that's a tough blow right there.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we're going to go and wrap up the podcast, and that way we can put all T's and P's towards the player that's out on the field that's hurt. Hopefully he's okay, but if not, hopefully he's okay. He just fainted. Damar Hamlin. That's who it was.
Okay. Shoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen that on the football field.
No. Okay.
I didn't see any hit. Like, I didn't have it pulled up when it happened. So.
Yeah. So I don't have the game on. So it wasn't a Packers game. So I didn't feel like I needed to have it on and do my 15-second glance over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I think I was coming to the end anyways. I don't know if we really had much more to talk about.
That was the last thing on the show notes.
Yeah, so
is that final prediction spot. So,
yeah.
Well, I will say that next week we'll probably try to do the podcast recording a bit earlier, maybe like 30 minutes or 45 minutes earlier than normal with the college football championship. So, who knows? Maybe we'll sneak in a surprise episode that is specifically for the college football playoff championship game preview. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, never know. Never know what we have up our sleeve.
Never know what we have up our sleeve. But I just want to say, keep up with us on Twitter. That's usually one of the best ways, or Instagram. I think that's usually where we post stuff.
Yeah, pretty much any of the social medias. I mean, if I'm posting on Facebook, it's my personal. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram are probably the best. I mean, you go to Instagram or Twitter, links are in there for either one, and the YouTube page and the website. So it's easy to find us either way.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just want to say thanks, everyone, for joining us today live in the chat. I want to say big thanks to Jake for helping us see the news of the Monday Night Football game, as well as John, Mike, everybody who put in questions, just thoughts. I thought that was a ton of fun. So we hope to see you all next week on Monday, and hey, maybe sooner. Keep in touch. Till then, we will see you all next time.
See ya.